stupid, man.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the Plug Talk Sports live show, episode 161. And before we start today's episode will be dedicated to our men and women in uniform in service. It is Veterans Day today. So just want to say from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for all of your service, for keeping us free. And of course, we can't do this every single week, enjoying this freedom without their sacrifice. And, of course, to my cousin who served 2 tours in Afghanistan as a Marine, of course, thank you just for all of the hard work and just the sacrifice. Jonka, Brandon, I don't know if you guys have just something you guys want to say for veterans.
No, I mean, of course, without the veterans, we wouldn't be able to do what we do every single day for, basic rights, and especially, continue to do that. And, whether that be from what we saw the other week, an election standpoint, or whether even down to the simple things like going out to get groceries without even being harassed or anything like that, so, always a big shout out to the veterans, even on those days of Armed Memorial or Veteran Day. I've had family and friends who have been a part of Air Force, Coast Guard, but in overall, though, without them, we wouldn't really be here. So very proud to be an American, and one of those reasons is because of our veterans. So all support to them, and hope they had a good day. Hopefully a lot of free stuff, too, if they're able to get something. I know Dunkin' Donuts had something.
Yep. Jonka?
You guys basically took everything out of my mouth except for support the troops, like I always say.
I'm gonna take that away.
But shout out to all the men and women in uniform around the world. Hopefully they're all listening to this at one point. We're here to support you guys. Thank you for everything you've done, and support the troops again.
All right. We're going to get into the show. We're going to get into our plugs and shameless plugs of the week. We'll start with bad this week. Brandon, talk to me. What is something bad?
Yeah, Gators football. Look, I'm going to be real. And you know what? Because I know there's a college football segment, but I know for a fact we're not going to talk about it. So you mind if I do a shameless plug and a little bit of a rant, if you don't mind?
Go for it. Stage is yours, buddy.
So Scott Strickland, the athletic director for the Florida Gators, decided that he's going to stick with Billy Napier, the head coach in his 3rd year, and also has only been through 1 bowl game, but after that, 2 losing seasons. Now, I want people to understand something. Before the season started, no one expected the Gators to even have a winning record, let alone compete. So for everyone that's shocked that the Gators are not, dominating with their 3rd-string quarterback and all the injuries going back and forth, and the fact the Gators are 4-5, and everyone's talking about Billy Napier should be fired, I'm going to be honest with you. I watched that game against Texas on Saturday. It was gut-wrenching. Nearly fell asleep through the 2nd quarter, down 4 scores. It was ridiculous. But I'm gonna say it for the people in the back here as well twice. They cannot be led if there is no vision. I repeat, they cannot be led if there is no vision. Napier has that vision. You've seen in recruitment. You've seen what he's been able to do on that trail. They recently just got the number 2 kicker in the nation, a 5-star kicker. And yes, not like a skill guy, but still, that DJ Lagway also approved of the message of Strickland of wanting to have Billy Napier there. So, terrible to see Gators football this season, but a quick rant. Billy's going to be okay. Give him next year. If anything, the 4th year, maybe he sticks through it. Some guys going to mature now. But trust me, though, he's going to stick through it. But for now, horrible to watch Gators football. Honestly, LSU comes to Gainesville. I might not even have ESPN Plus ready for that game. I might just be watching like tennis that Saturday.
Jonka?
Yeah, bro. Like, just to say a little bit of what you said. Like, I don't think this year I'm gonna put everything on Billy Napier. You know, it was the toughest schedule in all of college football. Like, Graham Mertz got injured and all that stuff, so I'm not gonna put it on him. So he does recruit really well. Lagways is legit. I think I love him. You know,
Love him.
the kicker. Every team needs a good kicker, so he's doing his job at recruiting. And if you were to lose him, then recruiting is a big thing. So if you can't recruit, you can't really win in football. So, and then for me, it would have to be just a little bit on that, but it would have to be 0-11 for the entire state of Florida. Well, it could be 0-12 if the Dolphins somehow lose this game. But overall, it was not a good week, not a good weekend for Florida in general. And yeah, I don't even know what more to say. It was just terrible all across the board, bro.
For me, Brandon's going to have to stick with the University of Florida. I don't know if you guys have seen, but their men's basketball coach
Oh, that's right.
apparently has been sending sexually explicit photos. And I don't even know if this is like athletes or it's just random student. I believe it's just random students at the university.
Yes.
He's following them in the car and just like lowering down the window and looking at them. Yeah, that story came out of nowhere. But come on, man, come on. Like, you're in a good position. You're in a good place in life in that coaching staff of the University of Florida. Don't ruin it. But unfortunately, he did, and he may not. Brandon, I don't think he will ever see another sideline again.
No, yeah.
If
I mean,
he is negative. If he is guilty, should I say?
no, of course, yeah. I mean, he was actually on the sideline for tonight's game against Grambling State, where the Gators blew out them by over 20. And again, top 20 team AP poll. But actually, I'm glad that you mentioned that because I do want to segue to my good plug of the week.
Okay,
and
go
again,
for it.
Not the Todd Golden situation, right? Don't get confused. But the story did broke out by the Independent Alligator, where I used to work at when I was a student at UF. And again, a place where I was an assistant editor as well as the men's basketball beat writer. So, you know, I've been in those press conferences with Todd Golden. I mean, I was there when he first stepped in the building at UF. And the two writers that broke that story, Max Tucker as well as Jack Meyer, they were basically on the desk when I was an editor. And I know Max even asked me for advice for the basketball beat. And quite frankly, I've been able to read a lot of their work throughout this semester. They've done a fantastic job feature-wise and everything. But this just takes the cake there. Student journalism to break a national story like this, as big as it is. And, you know, again, you know, things are going to have to, you know, move around for this Title 10 work that's going on with Todd Golden's facing in the Florida Gators men's basketball program. And a lot of the things, if true, very disgusting. Yep. But definitely a big win for student journalism and a big win for the former paper, the Independent Alligators. So that's probably the good news I got from that.
And as always, you are in our legal system in this country, you are innocent until proven guilty. So right now, obviously, just I wouldn't say speculation, but accusations. And again, like you said, if true, disgusting and horrible. But we have to wait for the legal, system and process to take place. Jonka, your good news.
My good news. Well, if you guys don't know, this past NFL draft, it was Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. It was a Caleb Williams versus Drake May this weekend. Drake May just had his fifth start. And guess what? We beat that Caleb Williams ass. I've been saying it all this time. He's not that good. Guess what? He has more weapons than Drake May does, a better team and a better defense. And guess what happened? 19-3, buddy. We ready. Let's go. That's all we needed to do. That's it. It's approval. Drake May is better than Caleb Williams, period. I already said it, bro. You're going to tell me the guy's number one overall but can't beat Utah? Don't give me that shit. That's it.
Jonka, I think at this point, I think for the three of us, I think at this point, whatever win we can get, we'll take it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
We'll take it, man. We'll take it. Good for me. very excited. Home opener basketball Wednesday night, men's and women's. Finally putting the suit back on and getting ready to go. And I'm expecting we'll have players in our post game interview. Usually just coach after a loss, but a win we get 2 players and coach. Expecting wins for both men's and women's, so I'm excited. I'm excited that basketball is finally here. It's going to be a great time. Of course, when basketball starts, the holidays are right around the corner. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to get back on the basketball call. Anyways, let's get into the NFL Week 10. It's closing out right now. Miami Dolphins on the road against the Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium. Dolphins currently in the lead. But let's talk about some other matchups before we get back to that game. And we're going to start with the Baltimore Ravens in a very, very close victory, 35-34 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Janka, you were talking to me a little bit last night about the Bengals. Is there some sort of hope or light for Cincinnati, for this season?
Bro, despite them having really a lot of like defensive issues, like their offense has been getting better as of like players getting healthy and coming back onto the field. But I'm warning everybody right now, and this is a PSA to everybody. If you give Joe Burrow one more weapon besides, I mean, I think T. Higgins is out after the season, so I don't think they're going to re-sign him. But if he gets one more weapon with Jamar Chase on the other side, may God be with you and have mercy on your soul. Because if he's losing these games and he's having a really good season with this kind of defense and he's scoring this many touchdowns, I'm sorry. This is an issue for everybody. I mean, I know he lost. I mean, the past game with the Ravens, it was also a shootout, and the Ravens have been on a roll lately. So that just goes to show you, like, he can. Joe Burrow is probably having the best season besides that Super Bowl run where his offensive line was absolute dog. But overall, like, this has been a really good season for the Bengals, even though the record doesn't show it. I think it's been pretty good.
Brandon, I was gonna say, you gonna counter that, Brandon, because that
Yeah.
seems like something you would counter.
Look, I think we're forgetting about Mr. Subway advertisement, Mr. Unlimited right now. Okay, that division as of right now, because again, when we think about the NFL, especially at this part of the season, we're thinking about who's going to win the division, who's really fighting for a wild card spot. As of right now, it's the Ravens and the Steelers. The Steelers, and I would have never guessed this is out of the left field, but the Steelers are really on top of the entire division over there in the AFC North. For Cincinnati to make it out, that means that they'll have to figure out a way to not only keep themselves solidified in the AFC, which of course they can if they get on a winning streak, but they'll have to start right now. And there's a lot of teams in that same situation. Like for tonight's game, right? The Dolphins right now, if with a win, they would be a game behind from the wild card spot behind Denver. And there's going to be a bunch of teams like that. The Raiders are a team I think of. Of course, the Jets. Who knows what happens with New York at this time, who are 3-7. So it's a weird AFC wildcard race, but Cincinnati, they could be in it. But as the third team, the AFC North, chemistry's going to have to mesh real fast. And I mean real fast.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Brandon. I'm not on the same page as Jonka here. I think Cincinnati, I think they had that one magical year. They made it to the Super Bowl, and then ever since then, I mean, obviously Joe Burrow was injured this year. I think they still have problems with their offensive line. I wouldn't. Yeah, the record is what it is. That's what it is. I don't think any different from it. For them, I think they just turn the page and look forward to next year. If I'm being quite honest.
Yeah.
Now we have to talk about this one.
What is it?
Philadelphia Eagles and my Dallas Cowboys.
I'm leaving that up to you, buddy.
Eagles steamrolling the Cowboys 34-6. Gentlemen, I think at the beginning of this game, obviously I watched this game. At the beginning of this game, Cowboys were giving them a fight. Cowboys were really giving them a fight. But, yeah, just turned the ball over too damn much. And obviously when you keep doing that and you keep repeating that same mistake, the other team is going to make you pay eventually. And that's exactly what happened. And once Philadelphia started scoring from those mistakes, it's almost like Dallas gave up. Look, I'm watching these games because I'm a diehard fan and I love my team. But this season's over with. Dak Prescott's not coming back this season. Obviously, with that injury, we have either Cooper Rush or Trey Lance, which Cooper Rush is starting the next game. There was a period, I believe, last year where Dak was out and Cooper Rush took over, and he did a phenomenal job while Dak was out. But this is a much different team. I think that this is an offense that is not set up for a quarterback to succeed when you only have CeeDee Lamb as your weapon. You have a running back room in Ezekiel Elliott, who, look, I love you, Zeke, but your time is gone, really. Rico Dowdle, who's really not proven in this league, and then Deuce Vaughn, who barely gets any touches. Other than that, it's really just CeeDee Lamb on the offense. The offensive line, aside from Zach Martin, you got a lot of rookies in there. They're just learning. So that's an issue. The defense has had injuries. We just got Micah Parsons back, and Micah's going to do what Micah does. Same with Diggs. But it's a wash of a year. I think this is what happens when you don't make any off-season moves to make this team better. And it is what it is. And they're going to have to figure something out in the offseason. I know they'll have a high draft pick, and I hope to God that they're going to be smart with that draft pick. But I also think, for myself, my opinion, I think it's time for Mike McCarthy to go. First of all, I never liked him as he was hired in the first place. I think we're starting to see that Aaron Rodgers made him in that Green Bay Super Bowl, not the other way around. And I'd like to bring in Bill Belichick, or I'd like to bring in Primetime from Colorado. Either one of those guys. I'd like to be having them as my head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And this team needs help. This team really does need help.
Yeah, I mean, when they had Trey Lance in there for a snap, I mean, it's not that good. I mean, their playoff chances right now are as far stretched as my, base of my hairline.
Yep.
So he's just got to figure something out. Now, what they can do, I would have to say, because Danny, I think this would be really interesting. The trade deadline obviously passed. So at this point, who are you really trying here for the rest of this season? Are you going to see more of a Trey Lance? See if Trey Lance could be not the future, but I mean, Cooper Rush is basically a poor man's Matt Moore. So what's the point of even having him going forward? I mean, are you going to have Trey Lance start a few games?
Well, they already announced that Cooper Rush is going to be starting the next game, but I don't think that means anything. I think that from here on out, I think they're just going to be rotating throughout the game. All right, we're going to give Cooper Rush, a certain amount of snaps, and then we're going to switch and we're going to put Trey Lance in the game and give him. You may have Cooper Rush one half and the other half Trey Lance. And I think they'll make decisions from there to see who plays better. But I think both of them against Philadelphia were both god-awful and turned over the football. So I don't think there was a real winner in between those two guys.
I don't know. Yeah. If I were the Cowboys and I had these two quarterbacks, if I would have Cooper Rush if I'm going to have a pocket passer. And then if you're going to run it like an option play, I would put Trey Lance in because he has the faster wheels. So, I mean, you can always do that. Like what they do with Taysom Hill with the Saints, in and out with different. It's unique, you never know. But
I mean, the first play for Trey Lance in this game was a quarterback keep, and he ran by himself. So, as to your point, Jonka, that's exactly what it is. Two different styles, and it's going to be interesting to see. But I think this season's a wash. I don't think they make the playoffs. I know a lot of Dallas fans like myself. We're upset, but we're not surprised. I think we're really frustrated just the fact that so many chances to get so many players. Derrick Henry wanted to be a Cowboy. We signed Ezekiel Elliott instead. We had a chance at the trade deadline to bring Amari Cooper back. Instead, we bring a wide receiver from the Carolina Panthers. So a lot of decisions there.
Jonathan Mingo.
Yeah, a lot of decisions that are being made that leave you scratching your head and just upset on not helping this team out and progressing the team. Speaking about bad teams, those poor people in Germany, let me tell you, Carolina Panthers, New York Giants. I'd hate, like, you would pay primetime money to go to a beautiful stadium, which is the home of Bayern Munich, by the way, the Allianz Arena. Beautiful stadium, one of the most beautiful stadiums in the world. And you have the Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants. And the Panthers win 20-17 in overtime. At least they got that. And I think with this win for the Panthers, it solidifies that the Giants are the worst team in the NFL. And I think the highlight of this game, to be honest, was that the referee said a penalty call in German. I think that was the most interesting thing of that game. I don't know if you guys have any comments on that game. If not, we'll move on.
Cam Ward, welcome to New York. That's the only thing in this play.
Cam Ward in New York, it's not bad. I mean, I mean, it could happen. It could happen.
Then the Chiefs just getting away from the Denver Broncos. 16-14 was a blocked field goal. Broncos, which I'm not gonna lie, the Broncos have surprised me this year.
Go, Bo, go.
Broncos, they have surprised me this year, and I think it would have been really impressive if they would have pulled out that victory against Kansas City. But Kansas City remains perfect, and they're still my favorite to go to the Super Bowl and probably win it all again. Nothing on that for you guys. Next game.
I don't even want to talk about these people.
All right. This one, 28-27, Pittsburgh Steelers over the Washington Commanders. Hey,
great game.
I will say this. I'm proud to say this, guys. The Dallas Cowboys did beat the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road. So, and that one still doesn't make any sense to me because the Steelers are playing good football, and how we went into Pittsburgh and came out with a victory, don't ask me. I don't know how we did that, but we did it. But Steelers are looking good. They're playing good football, and even though the Commanders picked up the loss, Commanders are playing good football as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, not even that. Everyone wants to be over in Washington, though. I mean, before the trade deadline, everyone was like, hey, let's try to get to the Commanders. Let's try to go over there to D.C., you know? But in the sense of that game, though, great job for the Steelers. And quite frankly, I mean, again, close win, but the biggest storyline, George Pickens. The guy has an insane touchdown, and then the next time, you know, Russell Wilson gets intercepted, and he goes straight to a defensive receiver and starts clotheslining him down on the ground. The guy's a crash-out lord in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, overall, Steelers, they're looking like a favorite right now. Not better than the Chiefs, right? But they're looking pretty good.
Yeah, bro, I'm not going to lie. Russell Wilson has been – I mean, after they took out Justin Fields and they put in Russell Wilson, they have, like, some sort of, like, leadership now on that team. And it's working out. I'm impressed, not going to lie.
Well, I believe that loss to Dallas was the last game that Fields started. After they lost to Dallas, they pulled him out of there.
Yeah, makes sense. He did play bad that game.
Yeah, but I would say this, though. I find it even more insane. The fact that the two quarterback, scenario of the Fields and Russell actually worked out at the end. I would have never guessed that beginning of the season.
Then we had probably another boring game here, one of the most boring games of the weekend. Minnesota Vikings 12-7 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Minnesota has done good this year. I think they're a great team this year. But very boring game over Jacksonville. Then the Saints finally, sweet victory for the Saints. They're on the win column, 20-17 against the Falcons. That one a little upsetting for the Falcons. Falcons have been decent this year. But you know what? With division games, you never really know. It's always a toss-up.
Also, quickly, before we even go any further, the Rizzler on the sideline, I mean, they got their head coach now, man. They got their head coach now. I'm telling you, the Saints are back.
I wanna make a comment on this one. 49ers and Buccaneers. 49ers taking the victory only by 3 points, 23-20. But did anyone catch Deebo Samuel throwing a clothesline to his long snapper and kicker? What was that all about? First of all, I mean, like, why would you even do that in public?
Yeah, I mean, that was a horrible day on special teams for the 49ers. I mean, I think it was, 2 missed field goals throughout the day for Moody? Three
Yes.
missed field goals. So definitely a lot of confusion right there from special teams, but a lot of frustration from the team overall. And that was just, again, Debo. I mean, I don't know how long he's going to stay in San Francisco, especially all these other guys like Brandon Ayuk. But it's going to be really weird the next few years with Kyle Shanahan if he's unable to get all these guys together.
And I believe Christian McCaffrey made a return.
He did. He played pretty good.
So we'll see if that changes anything for San Francisco going forward. The Bills, not much to talk about here. Comfortable 30-20 victory over the Colts. They're in first of the AFC East. Jonka, do you want to touch a little bit, or you think you've said enough about your Patriots beating the Bears 19-3?
Yeah, not much to talk about. The Bears didn't really do much. The only good positive, I think we sacked Caleb Williams, I think 9 or 10 times in the game. It was absolute murder. That should not be allowed, but it happened, so that's good for me.
Then we have the Chargers beating the Titans, who are having a terrible season, 27-17, followed by the Cardinals absolutely spanking the New York Jets, 31-6, and let's just say it for Brandon. Kyler Murray. We got to say it for Brandon. Kyler Murray.
He's an MVP, man. I mean, that's 5 straight wins right now for Arizona on top of the NFC West. Now, again, this is something I talked about last year, and then he got his little injury scare, but now he's back full strength. Harrison connection looks real. The McBride, he is looking phenomenal. And plus a rushing touchdown in 3 games this year? That one coming off as well on Sunday. So the guy's killing it right now.
And James Conner, don't forget him.
Can't forget.
Pretty good.
Hey, James Conner. I mean, again, the run game overall, it doesn't even matter if it's a quarterback or running back. So I think was it Cliff Berry, whatever his name was, the former head coach? I think under this new management, the head ball coach over there right now, Arizona, is really cooking right now in offense.
And then this was another good one, 26-23, a Detroit Lions victory over the Houston Texans. I'm still predicting, I will say it the same here, Week 10. I said the Chiefs and I said the Lions, and I'm sticking with both of those teams in the Super Bowl. And Texans are a good team, despite Diggs now being out for the rest of the year. But Detroit, I mean, I think they're the team to beat in the NFC this year.
Yeah, I think the Texans, though, if this game said anything, because at first I was thinking Detroit's a fraud. Detroit, Jared Goff can't. And then the second half happened. In reality, it's the Texans. I don't think the Texans are going to, and again, this will be a guarantee.
Okay.
If they were to make the playoffs as they should, I don't think they win a playoff game with CJ Stroud in them. I mean, at this point, I'm looking at them going against contenders, and yes, not in the AFC, but you got 20 plus on these guys at halftime in your own house. You can't finish them out. I don't know how well you're going to do against Buffalo, Kansas City, the Steelers, and etc. Baltimore. I mean, that's the real question. Will they be that team playoff time to compete? I don't think so. This game showed a little bit of that. And again, we're in November now, so it's getting close.
Yep.
Getting real close.
I don't know. I mean, I don't see any of those teams being as strong as Detroit. So maybe Detroit Detroit. Remember, Jared Goff threw I think 2 or 3 interceptions. When is that going to happen again?
Yeah, that's true. But I'm just saying, because again, I don't think they even scored a point in that second half. So I don't know. I just think personally, if you're up 20 like that in your own house,
remember,
no excuses.
Nico Collins comes back this week. So I mean, they were out with Stephon Diggs out with an injury. Nico Collins and I think Tank Dell getting a little bit more reps, and John Mechie showed up finally.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna get some more. These pieces are gonna come back. Maybe they're gonna look a little bit better, but I'm not gonna count them out yet because CJ Stroud does have playoff experience already since his rookie year. So
I think it could go either way. To be honest, I think they could win one or they couldn't win one. I think it goes either way. That's how I see it.
Basically, how it goes.
Brandon, last game of the NFL. I know it's not done yet, but talk to us a little bit about Dolphins and Rams.
Yeah, right now we've and a very rare occasion, at least for 2024, the Dolphins with a scoring drive to open up the game, a touchdown to open up the game with Malik Washington, the rookie wide receiver, a little toss run for 18 yards. And then Matthew Stafford struggling a little bit. He's already threw a pick earlier today, and as well as Tua. And a Fumapalooza, really. Tua intercepted, Rams fumbled the ball, Tua fumbles the ball. Rams able to get themselves a field goal out of this. But so far from today's action, and of course there was a Tyreek Hill touchdown, which is like, when was the last time that happened? But it's really been the defense. Multiple sacks. Chop Robinson, second sack in the past 2 weeks. He's been killing as a rookie without Jalen Phillips or Bradley Chubb, and still Chubb not available at all, let alone not even the predictable future, according to McDaniel, throughout this week. He talked during the media availabilities. But for the Dolphins themselves, in the last quarter, they are now up. Let me double check here. I believe
17-9.
17-9.
Yep.
Fourth quarter. The Dolphins currently on the road on Monday Night Football. Their third primetime game, believe it or not, third primetime game of the season. And somehow is their first time in a primetime game where they have a lead this year. So Dolphins trying to close it out up 17-9.
So here we go into college football. Let's go over the new rankings. At number 1, staying at number 1 is Oregon. At number 2 is Ohio State. At number 3 is Texas. At number 4 is Penn State. At number 5 is Indiana. At 6 is Tennessee. At 7 is BYU. At 8 is Notre Dame. At 9 is Alabama. At 10 is Ole Miss. At 11 is Georgia. At 12 is Miami. At 13 is Boise State. At 14 is SMU. At 15 is Texas A&M. At 16 is Army. At 17 is Clemson. At 18 is Colorado. At 19 is Washington State. At 20 is Kansas State. At 21 is LSU. At 22 is Louisville. At 23 is South Carolina. At 24 is Mizzou. And at 25 is Tulane. Do we have any problems with the rankings, boys?
Multiple.
I also do. Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead. Go. You're good. You're good.
All right. So I think me and John are going to be on the same boat here. The Canes were a top 5 team for how many weeks?
9 or 10?
Just about the entire season.
Wait. Top 5?
Yeah.
Top 5.
Maybe like 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks.
2-3 weeks. They're top 10 for majority of this season. And then somehow, some way, you're trying to tell me, again, a loss to Georgia Tech real close, still unexcusable for the Canes. Kind of ridiculous to see them even lose that one the way they did. Just allowing the ball to run right through their throats. But you're trying to tell me BYU, Tennessee, all right, Ole Miss, and I get it, Ole Miss beat Georgia not too long ago, basically yesterday, if not 2 days ago, Saturday, whatever. But you cannot tell me a 9-1 Canes team with the offense and the production they've shown is a 12th seed team right now in college football. It's ridiculous. And also from what we will see tomorrow from the projected bracket from this week, if the Canes are pushed out for SMU, I would lose my mind if I was a Canes fan. I would lose my mind if I'm a college football fan. Because quite frankly, in the playoffs, UM's got to be involved in it, though. They've shown too much. Like in similar way of the Power 5 or Group of 5, Boise State. They got guys who are Heisman worthy. They got guys who are breaking records already. It'll be insane to think that a team like Tennessee would deserve a ballot over them. So for the rankings, Miami being out of the top 10 is a little ridiculous. Georgia being out of the top 10 further, puts it on to a little different level of what are we seeing here? You know what I mean? Like Georgia, Carson Beck, whatever his name is, Beck, Tech, whatever, Mr. Interception.
Carson
The guy is not NFL ready at all. But to see Georgia, and especially Georgia's defense, drop all the way down like that, insane. And this is my last spill because I love the Hoosiers. Love college basketball. I didn't realize college basketball would also have college football implications. This time, Indiana, 10-0 for the first time in program history. Coach Sig, he's doing everything right. The guy, Mr. Google Me, I'm starting to Google him like every single week now because he's putting up insane scores where it's like it's not even close against the Big Ten. He's now ranked on number 8 AP poll. But how good is the Big Ten? This is my biggest beef right now. For the college football playoffs, at least, 3 or 4 of the top 5 are all part of the Big Ten. Ohio State, Oregon, and whatever it is, Penn State. It's ridiculous, though. If you told me that they would match up against the SEC, and again, the SEC schedule is hard. It really is hard. But there's no way that Penn State's better than some of these teams in the SEC. There's no way that you can tell me that Indiana would be ahead. And again, 10-win team, impressive, but better than Georgia, better than Ole Miss, better than the Canes. I don't like them. And again, I'll credit them, but I don't like them in the top 10. I think it's a weird move. They deserve it, sure, undefeated, but it's very weird to see.
Jacob?
As much as I would like to agree with you, Brandon, I'm objective with my teams, whichever team it is, baseball, soccer, basketball, football, whatever it is. I have to say the way it is with how many injuries we have on our backfield, bro, and how many DBs we've lost this year. Our defense has not been showing up. Lance Guidry, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, the offense has been great. Yeah, I think we're number 1 in the country in offense, but our defense can't stop a lick. So I can understand us being 12. I think we should have been out of the top 15 after losing like that.
Wow.
I have to say where it is. I mean, you can't lose like the way you lost last year, and you head into this game and you lose like that to the same team. Like, I don't know. I feel like they just went into the game like they didn't care or whatever. I don't know what it was, but I find it disrespectful. But for the team that I don't think the ranking that I don't like is Alabama over Ole Miss, because Alabama nearly lost to South Carolina and Ole Miss destroyed South Carolina. And Ole Miss beat Georgia, Alabama beat Georgia. So if we're going to add 1 + 1 = 2, Ole Miss should be above Georgia and Alabama.
Jacob, Ole Miss lost to Kentucky earlier this year.
And Ole Miss almost beat Georgia. Are we gonna agree with that? Come on, by 1 point, buddy.
Look,
Come
I'm just saying. But I definitely do see your point there, though. To see that Bama is again kind of being pushed ahead by the committee into that top 10. I mean, and again, there's a lot of SEC teams. Now, frankly, again, I also made the argument that the Big Ten, I don't think there should be that many of them in the top 5 or top 10 or whatever compared to SEC matchups because of the competition and especially the losses of the competition for those teams. But I'm going to be real. Like, it's hard to see Alabama out of the playoffs this year. I can't even imagine Jalen Milroe not being involved. So for them to push them, I understand the the narrative. But for Tennessee being in there doesn't make a lot of sense. To see that, Beck and Georgia a little bit outside, despite the fact that the offense. See, the issue about Georgia is the offense. It's the damn offense, though. And this is me coming as a Florida person. You know what I mean? I despise Georgia. I hate the Dogs. I just don't understand a grown man barking at you at like 11 a.m. before kickoff. I don't understand that. But for Georgia to be out of the top 10, it's just a weird feeling. Same with the Canes. So, but again, Ole Miss lost to Kentucky. I can't even hold you there. They lost to Kentucky. That's probably the one anchor that's going to keep them down away from top 5.
I would say, to be honest, at number 8, Notre Dame.
They've been hot ever since that loss to NIL, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like there's some teams that should be ahead of them.
Yeah, and that's another thing because with the Hurricanes, I mean, who's besides, of course, Texas A&M? What other big name win have they had this year?
Exactly.
Not a single. See, that's the thing. The Hurricanes came out and they've been able to get wins against Louisville, and now Louisville, kind of sunken a little bit. But on the road against Louisville, big win there. Blowing out teams, have been able to come back in insane fashion against a lot of the matchups they've had. And yeah, the defense has been taking hits. There's no lie about that. The D-line has been underperforming since week 1. But
week 2, technically.
Well, week 2. But still, I think if the Hurricanes and all they need to do really is just win out and win the ACC, they'll be a first round bye in the playoffs.
I was gonna tell you that if Miami were to win out and Clemson were to win out, since Clemson lost week 1 to Georgia, Miami has the tiebreaker, which would be basically, as of right now, it would be SMU, Miami, and North Carolina for the ACC championship. So, but that Clemson's loss to Louisville 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago was big for the
It was
ACC.
it was huge, and especially at home like that. So, I mean, in reality, it's going to be SMU or Miami, honestly. And plus, if you look at the schedules, Miami has the easiest schedule out of the three of SMU and Clemson. So, I expect them to win out. But either way, though, in the sense of the Notre Dame argument that we're at, they're going to be pushed in. Like, I just see the committees being like, yeah, for sure. They got them. They got them. It's going to be a first round loss, but they got it. There's going to be pushed in.
I would have to disagree with having the easiest, because just if we've seen how this defense have looked since they keep losing defensive players like crazy, and the depth is already like, I think we're down to we have 5 cornerbacks left, bro. Like, how many? You can't have anybody else. You're gonna have to exalt
let me
them.
ask you this question, guys. Let's say Miami wins out. Let's say they make the conference championship game. They lose the conference championship game. Do they fall out of the top 12?
At that point, you know what?
That's up to the committee.
Yeah, but I think even a bigger picture, that's up to the Big Ten. Because, again, we're talking about teams like Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Indiana. Let's say hypothetically, right? Let's say Penn State loses a game here and there. It's a 2-loss Penn State team. They don't make it to a conference championship. Do you put the Hurricanes over them? I will put the Hurricanes that appear in a conference championship. I'll put the Hurricanes up there with Penn State. Because I think if you look at the SEC as well on that side, because Tennessee's trying to make a bid. Do I put the Canes over Tennessee? I would. Now, Georgia, if they try to make a comeback. Bama, if they try to make a comeback. I think a lot of, if the Canes do lose, it's going to be those two conferences. Who doesn't make that championship game? Who is losing on the end of the season?
I think the both of you have missed a big reason on the Hurricanes from this past weekend. And I will say Cam Ward. Cam Ward had a chance to win the game. Instead, and I told Janka, Cam Ward looked more like Dak Prescott on a winning drive. And I think that after that, his Heisman numbers went down, because it's not the first time this season he's looked sus under pressure. So I would say that on the last drive. And I'm not putting all the blame on him. I will give it to the defense as well. I think that we could have seen this loss coming from a mile away for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think the last couple games, they've been really getting by. So you knew just at a certain moment, the dam was going to break and the water was going to get through. And this was that game. And I think if we look at a conference championship game, I think either SMU or Clemson beats Miami in a conference championship game. I really do, because you know what? You can have a great quarterback, you can have a great offense, but if you got no defense, you ain't going nowhere at all. So they better figure that out quick in Coral Gables. If not, it's going to be either you're going to lose your conference championship game, or you're going to be a one and done, or you may not even make the playoffs and just make a bowl game. Whatever it is, they got to figure it out. And I've been saying it since the beginning. This team is just like my Cowboys. They're an accident waiting to happen.
Well, I would say this, though. Because I'm looking again at the schedules for both of these squads. SMU's only loss, my apologies,
BYU by 3.
BYU by 3, yes. However, they etched out a win against Duke early this year. They went on to win against Louisville by a touchdown. And their last 3 games, Boston College, Virginia, they'll be on the road, and SMU hosts California. Now, Clemson, on the other hand, that's an even harder road for them if they were to do it and make it to the conference championship. My apologies. They would go on to be on the road against Pittsburgh, host the Citadel, which would be an easy win. But then that rivalry, South Carolina, an SEC matchup for Clemson at home to end the year. If you ask me personally, SMU is going to have a loss. Clemson's going to have a loss. I honestly think that the Canes this year, and I said at the beginning of the year, I'm going to keep on saying it until I'm proven wrong. They are built and they play and they run like an NFL squad. They will not be phased by it. Now, the only thing that will keep them away from the playoffs, and yes, Jonka, I know you're looking at me because I know how shit the defense is. Excuse my language. But I'm telling you, though, the offense, that's all you need. This is like a Kyler Murray, Oklahoma situation. As long as the offense keeps moving the way that they're moving, the only thing that's going to stop the Canes is the committee. That's the only thing. Only the committee will push them out because they're going to win out the rest of the games.
The only thing as of right now, today, at this moment in time, that is benefiting us is that this week is a bye week, and we have at least 2 weeks for everybody to get healthy. And hopefully we get some players back. Hopefully, maybe they're eligible. They can play a quarter or two. Give whatever we need so that we can etch out a win at Wake Forest. Well, it's going to be home. And then Syracuse, the last game. All you need to do is take care of business home against Wake Forest. Then you get more time for your defensive backs to get healthy. That's more time. And then get your mind straight against Syracuse, because as much as I don't like Cal McCord, he's been on and off this season. He's been bad and he's been good. And you don't want him to get good because against this defense, we'll get torched. And I don't know if we'll win that game because it is going to be in Syracuse. It's up right now. The fate is in Cam Ward and Cristobal's hands. I need to see to believe it. I've already said before the season started, I'm taking this year game by game. I'm not stressing. I'm good. You know what? Because you know me. I'm good. I'm easy. If we lose, we lose. I'm used to it. But if we win, I'm up there, baby.
All right. Final question on this topic, and I want to ask you guys. The other local team, FIU, they need to win out to clinch a bowl game, which they have not done since 2020 or 2019. I believe. Yes, 2019. Do they do it? They have Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State, and Middle Tennessee. Against Kennesaw State and Middle Tennessee, they have a great chance. The problem is the Jacksonville State game. That is going to be very tough for them. They're second in the conference.
Is that home or away?
It's on the road.
Yep.
Bingo.
Do they do it?
If we win that game, woo! Oh man, you bet your ass I'm gonna be in that next home game, bro.
Listen, this is an FIU team that came very close to beating Liberty.
Yeah, nearly beat Liberty, nearly beat Sam Houston. They're right there too against UTEP. I remember that game, but there's too many chances. There's too many chances. Honestly, I think 5 wins. They're a game short. They're a game short of bowl eligibility.
I could see that happen. That would be the realistic case. I think it's just a game short.
I think I forgot his name. The head coach,
McIntyre.
McIntyre, yeah.
McIntyre. I think he's gonna look back on this season, and I think he's gonna really hate himself for losing against that game against Monmouth, 45-42.
Yep.
That game would have given you a 6-6 season, and you didn't have to. You could just lose one of these last 3. But hey, you see how every game counts, bro. Every game does count, and I think we will beat Middle Tennessee at home. I'll be there. Kennesaw State, I think we'll win. They're 1-8. If we lose that game, I think McIntyre's out. I think he's out. They'll let him finish the season, but I think he's out. But if we win Jack State, I think we go into Kennesaw State with momentum, and we finish out the season strong against Middle Tennessee. That's just me.
Yeah, I have to go with Brandon. I think 5 games. I think they come up just a game short.
I need the positivity. Daniel, what is this, bro?
To your point, yeah, that Monmouth game should have been It should have been a victory, and we would have had a bowl game here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. I've been waiting all night for this topic. I've been cooking since Saturday. Inter Miami in what is being called the biggest upset in MLS history. They were the number 1 seed heading into the Eastern Conference playoffs. They won the Supporters' Shield. They broke the record of most points by a team in MLS history. They were predicted, which I will say by both of you, it wasn't only you guys, but by a lot of people, that they would reach the MLS Cup final and would take it. First round, best of 3 series, which I think makes it worse, to be honest, if you ask me. Against an Atlanta United team that only scored 34 points this year. They had an 8% chance of making the playoffs on decision day, which is the final game of the season. They squeaked on by, and they took down Inter Miami. The first game was 2-1, which was here in Miami. Then, game 2, Atlanta strikes back with a game-winning goal, 2-1. And then right here at Chase Stadium, where I expected, Miami's going to take it. They've been playing well at home for the last couple of years. It's been a fortress for them. They're going to do it. There's no way Luis Suarez, there's no way Messi is going to let this happen. They crapped the bed. And I'll tell you why they crapped the bed is because that defense is god-awful. Also, Tata Martino, you need to get yourself together. I don't think he's a good manager. I didn't like his hiring. When he was coach of Messi in Barcelona, they only won 1 title. That was the Spanish Super Cup, which whoop-de-doo. You leave Campana to the final minutes. The guy is a great goal scorer. Before Messi even arrived, when he was retired and they had that 1 year, Campana was scoring every single game. And they've left him on the bench for Luis Suarez, who can barely run, hasn't really done much as of late. And you bring in Campana way too late. I put that on Tata Martino. And then Messi needs to be held accountable too. Only 1 goal through these 3 games. You're the leader of the team. You need to step up in this particular situation. Straight calendar being beat on some goals that were sus, especially at the near post. Everyone knows as a keeper, you need to protect your near post. This was a failure of the season. They didn't participate in the U.S. Open Cup. They got eliminated in the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
And the Leagues Cup.
And Leagues Cup as well, yes. And it's a failure of a season to be so successful in the regular season and then lose the way that you did to Atlanta United. And now you're left with probably, as of right now, we don't really know. You're probably left with only 1 more year of Messi. And again, as I have said on this show previously, if they don't win an MLS Cup with Messi on the team, the signing of Messi would be a complete failure.
I mean, I don't know if I go that far.
If you want to go organizationally wise, yeah, they got their money.
I mean, we're talking Leagues Cup Championship, Supporters Shield, and again, these are first in franchise history, at least trophy-wise. But, I mean, in the sense of this season, though, definitely a failure, though. I could definitely be the first one to be in that line to let you know, Supporters Shield or not. You know, I think the whole panel, basically, failure of a season. Because when you think of the situation that they were put in, you're how many points ahead? You basically have this thing locked in and clinched like about a month or 2 prior of the postseason. And you find yourself against Atlanta United, who, frankly, at this point, they look like the Mets of the MLS. I mean, these guys barely make it to the playoffs. Somehow they find a way to win these games. And Inter Miami just doesn't finish. Just doesn't finish. Last goal that they had for Atlanta in the game 2 was in additional time. I believe it was a 95th minute goal that Atlanta scored to have them save their season there. And then that game 3, I mean, Miami was never in control. Never in control. Was picking up from the back legs and trying to keep on going. It was ridiculous. I mean, again, all credit to Atlanta. There's a really grit in that locker room. But in the sense of Inter Miami, For Tata, I know that Frey was having some issues and Busquets has some little bit of an injury day-to-day thing. And, Busquets, I felt like he needed to be more involved. Robert Taylor has been silent from the second half going to the postseason. I thought I wanted to see more Robert Taylor on the pitch, but we didn't get to see that. It was a reliability issue with this Inter Miami team where you rely on Luis, you rely on Messi, you rely on these guys, and it's they haven't been performing. And you can't look anywhere else. For Tata, he needs to understand there's specific guys. I mean, Danny, as you said it best, Campagna, hell of a goal scorer, especially when Messi's not on the call. They needed him and at least some type of energy, and they couldn't even bring him out.
Jonka, before you go, I will say this. The third goal for Atlanta, Aviles, for some reason, decides that he's going to throw himself down in the 18-yard box. And Inter Miami just decides we're going to stop playing because our player is down. You have to play to the whistle.
Yeah.
And listen, the rule is if it's a head injury, the referee will stop the play. But if it's not, the other team is not entitled to stop.
Yeah.
And, Inter Miami was complaining about that. And Tata Martino said post-game over, that was us. We would have showed sportsmanship and we would have stopped the game. But let's take it back to when Messi dribbled past a player who is on the floor injured. How come you didn't stop the game then? It's all, it's all BS for the media. And Jordi Alba saying, "Oh, this format isn't fair." What's so unfair about it? You played in the Champions League for so long that had the format of home and away games. It's the same thing. You just had one more added game.
Yeah,
So,
actually, you know what?
Difference.
I would go one step further because, I mean, Danny, you probably know more of this than I do about the MLS formats, historical wise. But the first round, how has it always been that 3-game first round and the knockouts after?
No, this is new from last year.
New from last year.
Yeah.
Go back to the knockout rounds.
Now
The game and then but that's what I'm saying though. For the first round only, to be 3 games, and then you have after that knockout after knockout after knockout, and again, great television because it gives the the underdogs more chances, as we saw as of right now with Atlanta. But my goodness, though,
And Columbus.
And Columbus
and Cincinnati.
The consistency, though. I mean, the MLS has to be consistent. If you're doing a series in the first round, you might as well do it throughout every single round in the postseason, even the Cup.
I think for Miami, it makes it worse, though, because it looks worse. Because you had 3 chances. You had 3 games to do it, and you couldn't beat this Atlanta team, again, that was god-awful all year round.
Yeah, I mean, again, as I said before, they had to finish, and they couldn't finish, But in the sense of the overall MLS standpoint, though, in my argument, I would say elimination games would be insanely competitive, insanely postseason-like, and MLS-like. So I would rather see that than a 3-game first round and then have a knockout after that point. It's just weird.
Jaka?
Before we go to the next segment, if they're gonna keep this three game first round, I would at least make it interesting and have like a goal differential where, okay, if the away team scores 3 goals, okay, they got, I don't know, I guess +2 or will be 6, and then if you the same thing for the next one, just like they do in the World Cup group stage, how the goal up and down if it's away, if it's here, bro, it would be way more interesting if, instead of just being okay, you win here, okay, you win there, best of 3, okay, next. It would be way more interesting with points and stuff happening. That's just me.
Yeah.
Well, as the final minute of this show, we'll just say a quick take. The Miami Marlins have found their next coach, Clayton McCullough. He was now a World Series champion. He was the first base coach for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He is now your new Miami Marlins manager. Before I go, do you guys have a quick take on that?
Quick take here. Has a winning history. Has definitely been a part of great franchises. Has not been known as a loser in the league. However, he's about to learn soon. So this will not change our record.
Janka.
I don't know, man. I mean, you have a guy that's coming from a winning organization. He knows what it takes. He knows the environment. He knows what it feels like. So hopefully he can bring us back in a good direction. We have talent. You know, I think he can do something with it, and it's a fresh start. Never know. Nobody knows how we play. No one knows our players. So we're kind of like a mystery right now. So I
My
like
quick
it.
take. My quick take is I agree with everything you guys. I agree probably a little bit more with Brandon, but I will say, yeah, you're in winning cultures, but guess what? They have a winning culture and they have front offices that make good decisions. I
That too.
think Clayton McCullough is going to find himself doing what every other Marlins manager has found themselves doing, and fighting the front office and ownership to make this team successful. And that shall be seen, and we will see what happens with him. That's my quick take on that. But anyways, our show has come to an end. That was episode 161. We thank you guys for tuning in and week out. We appreciate you guys, and of course, we appreciate our veterans. Our show tonight was dedicated to our veterans, and we hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Stay tuned to all of our social media, and we'll see you next Monday for a brand new episode. Have a good night.
Support the troops.